responsibility.
Finishing this fight.
Hello everyone, and welcome into the Lore Council. This is Cade, and I'm joined with Keith.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever time you happen to be listening to this. Today we are hopping into the Tales of the Jedi series, and we are starting chronologically from the furthest back. I don't believe this was actually the release order, but today we are going over the first, well, technically 6, including issue 0, but the first bit of the story, known as the Golden Age of the Sith. Was this the first time you had read it? Was for this review?
No, I had read it once before, quite a number of years ago, or maybe a couple times.
Okay, sure. Do you remember any of like your first impressions with that, or was that too long ago?
Yeah, I remember thinking something about the art was kind of like, it just seemed kind of cheap looking, I guess. Like something about the art was just kind of like it just looked old, I guess.
Sure.
But
How do you think about the art now upon your reread?
oh, now I love it, yeah, because I've definitely, read a lot of comics since then, so I think I have a better frame of reference now, and
Sure.
I really like the art for this. It's very nice.
Nice. Yeah, I also really enjoy the art. I also, like you, I read this many years ago. I think I have one of my friends in elementary school. His older brother was really into Star Wars, and obviously we were too. And I read the comics way back then, so that must have been probably verging on 20 years ago. So yeah, it took me a while to come around to the art. It is interesting. I do like that it is not just the things that are drawn, but just the art itself is very distinctive. You can just point to it and be like, oh, that's Tales of the Jedi. That's that comic series I really like.
Right, yeah, and it's definitely trying to go for a more photorealistic look. Every scene it just looks really cool. It's very, I wouldn't say exactly like Star Wars, but you got spaceships in there, and
Yeah, you got that. You got Hutts. You got humans. You got other aliens that have been in the series. New ones introduced. What do you think of the time period that this is setting? Because obviously, Golden Age of the Sith is 5,000 years before the Battle of Yavin, so before Episode 4.
yeah. So I guess this is kind of when they decided Star Wars is going to be a sort of stagnant technology universe, because pretty much got all the same tech.
Well, it's not quite the same.
The only main little difference, the lightsabers need power packs. They got to plug in to them. But definitely upon rereading it, I was really taken by the world building and everything. It's very immersive. I like the concept of, this is so far in the past, they're still establishing, safe hyperspace lanes for traveling through space. And so the people who do that for a living are called, I can't remember what they're called, but they're basically mavericks. They're out there trying to, find the gold, get the, what's the word I'm looking for here?
Get the pay, get the payday. Strike it rich.
Oh, yeah, it's like adventure. Yeah, it's like a gamble, like prospecting almost, but prospecting for traveling.
Yeah,
and yeah, there's that. Then you get the info on the Empress Theta system, and the war, all that good stuff.
Yeah, and I think
so. It pulls you in right away. We just you know what's going on. There's things going on here.
Yeah, and I think obviously reading episode issue 0 is definitely going to help if you haven't read this. It sets everything up super easily, really good. Establishes the 100-Year Darkness, which is kind of the first one of the big schisms of the Jedi Order. and it's established that hyperspace isn't like it is in like the OT and the prequels and every other era of Star Wars, essentially. Yeah, but it's really cool. I really like the aesthetics of all of it. It's kind of going for a more like ancient look as opposed to like kind of the modern Star Wars as we kind of think about it.
Right, it does have like an antiquated look, you might say. Yeah, definitely it's kind of trying to make everything seem sort of old. Yeah, like the technology, it's their armor and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, there's lots of soldiers who use like spears and like knives and swords along with blasters, which is really cool as well.
The outfits for the brother and sister that they wear through pretty much the whole series, very interesting. Kind of make them look like I don't know, like Greek heroes or something.
Yeah, kind of. I could definitely see that. But yeah,
they got sandals and like leg wraps and stuff.
Yeah. Well, it looks like they live kind of on a hot planet, so, you know, that would definitely make some sense. But yeah, Issue 0 is essentially your introduction to this time period. And Issue 1 is where you get a lot more into, like, the exploration and the action that kind of goes with that. Because obviously we are introduced to the Daragon siblings, Gav and Jory. Their parents die in Issue 0, so they take over and they get to scout hyperspace lanes. On their ship, the Starbreaker 12.
Yep.
Yeah, so Issue 1 essentially goes over their adventures. They get some action. They get to talk to some people. Run away at the very end. It's really fun. I really like it. They're pretty likable protagonists. Because they're going to essentially be our non-Sith, along with the Jedi Master Ood Banar. They're our non-Sith kind of point-of-view characters.
Yeah, and they kind of get a rough time of it, you know, yeah. Tragic parents, you know, and they pretty much have to steal their own ship. And then they do the old random hyperspace jump, and then, oh man, I mean, for these guys doing that was like even more dangerous because they just had no idea where they were going.
Yeah, because I mean, we kind of get a little bit of like doing like a hyperspace jump without calculations. Like Han references it in A New Hope. He's like, well, you know, if you don't do your calculations right, you might ram into a planet or run into a star or something like that. And that's with like 5,000 years in the future hyperspace technology and computers and stuff, nav computers. These guys are like, it's basically like a typewriter versus like a souped up gaming laptop.
Right.
Is like essentially what they're using. It's like a horse-drawn carriage versus a Dodge Hellcat. Yeah,
and the ship definitely reflects that because even on like and with most of the ships on the inside, they have these like crystals at the console. It's just like straight raw crystals just sticking out of the technology, which looks really cool.
Yeah, the aesthetics of the ship, I think, is definitely one of the most striking things. They look nothing like, you know, what we see in like Star Wars. When you think of like the Millennium Falcon or X-Wings, Star Destroyers, and stuff like that, it looks kind of like almost organic in a way. And
I would say it looks like kind of like a kite.
Yeah, it looks like a kite. They have like wings that look like sails, which are interesting. I mean, even in Issue 1, there's literally a starship that looks like a sailing ship. It's got like sails. It has little protrusions on it that look like oars. It's
for some reason a bunch of like crystal rods sticking out of the front of it, which is an interesting design. Oh, but I love that the cockpit is still basically just the Millennium Falcon cockpit for the window.
Oh yeah, that's something that's just never going to go away in Star Wars. Got to have the
nice little touch there. It's like Squidward sticking his nose on the statue.
Yeah.
Now it's art.
But yeah, Issue 1 again does a really good job. But Issue 2, man, this is where it gets like it gets hot, it gets spicy. This is what we came for because we get the Sith. on Korriban. That's what we want.
Oh yeah, definitely when things start to heat up and it gets really, really good.
Yeah, it gets really good. I like it. And again, like this this series, obviously, since it was essentially unknown territory for Star Wars at the time, it does a really good job of like not doing like huge info dumps on you that are like, 20 pages long, and not every character gets like a super detailed like introduction. I mean, it starts off, they explain who Marco Ragnos was. He was like the most recent Dark Lord of the Sith, and he died. And we're introduced.
Bit the big one.
Oh yeah, as they do. Then we get Ludo Kresh. He's kind of like a more traditional Sith Lord. He's doing everything, and he wants to be the successor to Marco Ragnos. And as we're going through this beginning part here, I know I mentioned it to you before we started recording, but the Tomb of Marco Ragnos on Korriban is... They followed it very well, and I never really noticed it until I recently replayed Jedi Academy, that they followed it very well. It's very closely, obviously, modeled on how it looks in this comic, which is really cool.
Oh yes, definitely got a very cool look. All these giant like Sith statues.
Yeah, and I mean, kind of...
Well, I was just gonna say about the lore. Like, yeah, you said like they weren't doing like a whole bunch of info dumps, but everything is established. Like, and I do like that little. I like the what's the word? Like the setup. Like I guess the stage is set, right? Like the whole galaxy, thinks the Sith are like totally gone. Again, or maybe this was the first time.
Well, they didn't think that the Sith were gone because the Dark Jedi were exiled, and then they found their way to the Sith Empire.
Oh, whatever. Yeah, so they think the Dark Jedi are just exiled somewhere. They're just whatever. But in fact,
they are not. But yeah,
and then so I guess what happened with the Sith? Yeah, the Dark Jedi show up to Korriban. They're like, nice. There's this like whole planet of Force-sensitive people. Let's just take over and be kings. And then how many years later is it from then? It's like 1,000 years or something, or
it's a long time, basically.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, and I mean, I really, really love the art style for like the ancient Sith. It's kind of a take on like Egypt, but in space in a way. Like they bury their dead in pyramids. Everyone has like these elaborate like headdresses, like a pharaoh. Really cool looking though. And then obviously Ludo Kresh is leading everything, and then his nemesis shows up, Ludo Kresh, who is essentially
you mean Nagasato?
Or yeah. I get them back and forth. Yeah, Nagasato shows up, and he's the rival of Ludo Kresh. Yeah.
Yeah, on a really cool looking ship, I should say. And then I do like that a lot of the ships in here, they just look like bugs or insects or animals or something. But and then Nagasato shows up and he's like, all right, I'm gonna be in charge now. I'm the new Dark Lord of the Sith.
Yeah. Just like very, very blunt. They have like their thing. They go back and forth.
And this was back when like Dark Lord of the Sith wasn't just like an honorary title. Like the Dark Lord was actually the Lord of the planet, like the ruler.
Yeah, he was the ruler of the Sith Empire. Like he's basically like the like the Roman Emperor essentially, or like the Pharaoh.
Yes. And regarding Nagasato and Ludo Kresh, I like how they show that like Nagasato, he's like more like human looking. He's like he has less of the Sith like in his face, like with the those like hanging face things they have.
Yeah. Yeah,
and then Ludo Kresh, he looks more like an actual Sith. And then,
he's got like bigger. He's got like a bigger brow bone. His chin is super like thin and long, and he's got like the face. I don't want to say like tendrils, but yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, pretty. Yeah, I mean, I think. I wonder if they're like made hard or made out of bone, or
I think
they
from
don't
what
look like they're flappy.
I think from what I've read, I think they are like bone essentially.
Okay. And then yeah, Nagasato shows up with the drip.
He's
I
got
think Ludacris looks pretty drippy as well. But
oh yeah, Ludo Kresh is possibly the most dripped out person in the history of Star Wars. But yeah, Nagasato shows up and he's like, yeah, I'm in charge. The Sith Empire, we're stagnant. We haven't done anything, and we used to be cool, but now we're not.
Right, yeah, because the Dark Jedi took over the whole system.
Yeah,
and then they were just like, all right, we're just gonna be like kings for like a couple hundred years or whatever, and then here we are. And then now they're just kind of like, okay, what do we do now? At least that's what Nagasato's wanting. He wants more. He wants to conquer.
Yep, and then Ludo Kresh is the exact opposite. He's a lot more traditional. He's like, hey man, like let's not do that. We have to make sure that we can like essentially be in charge of like our own empire. Like, so shut up, you're a loser. You have no drip, no bitches.
Yeah, and of course, this leads to a fight between Ludo and Naga, and what's really cool is because I think they said it earlier that when the Dark Jedi were exiled, they took away their lightsabers, so they have to fight using just like regular swords that they like infuse with dark side energy, and it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it does. Like and again, like it's very interesting compared to Star Wars. Obviously, like if this were like the Sith. In like say like the time period of Darth Bane, they would just whip out their lightsabers and oh wow, another lightsaber fight.
Right, yeah. Cue the the flashing lights and the that song from SpongeBob.
Yeah. But this, it's a lot more. I guess kind of like you could say it's a little more like visceral. Like they're swinging at each other with like swords that are kind of look like they're like got like lightning around them, all filled up with like the dark side.
And the art is fantastic. I mean,
yeah, it's like really
very alive. Like you can just see the way they're swinging and like these big heavy swords, and they're just like going at it.
Yeah, and it looks really cool, and everyone is just standing there, like they're just standing watching. But then, spooky ghost! I thought you were dead, bro.
Yep, Marka Ragnos looking pretty cool.
Yeah, he looks
like a demonic skeleton man.
Yeah, again, like very close to how he looked in Jedi Academy.
Nice.
Yeah, and he's like, "Hey, man, like, let's stop fighting amongst ourselves. Like this is." He literally says in the comic, like, "This is our golden age."
Yeah, he says a lot of very cryptic things, but essentially what it comes down to is, hey, man, you got a good life. You got a good life. Like, don't screw it up.
Yeah, well, he's basically like, choose your battles wisely, otherwise, the Sith are, like, dunzo.
Yep.
And the Sith definitely, I swear, they're definitely going to hold to that.
Hold to what?
Oh, like making only smart decisions.
Yeah, and then, well, suppose we should talk about Odan this time.
Yeah, he's like the Jedi, essentially.
He's the main Jedi protagonist?
Yeah, he's a goofy shark-looking guy.
Yeah, he's definitely got an interesting look. I think I like it.
Yeah,
he sort of looks. He looks like the alien from Alien, and like I don't know, like a porpoise had sex or something, and then yeah. But yeah, he's a cool guy. He just like starts out as like he's just like a bookworm. He just likes to read about history and all that stuff. He doesn't really do like Jedi stuff, even though he's a Jedi. And then yeah, he gets thrown in there, and then he just becomes a major player.
Yeah, well, he also has like a vision of like the Sith, essentially.
Oh yeah, so he's like, yeah, he's pretty in tune with the Force, and of course it's Star Wars, so Jedi have to have visions and whatnot. So
yeah, and again, he's unfortunately like Marka Ragnos, he's very He's like very cryptic. He's like, well, I had a bad dream, but the Dark Jedi, we banished them, but maybe they're still out there. Dun dun dun.
Right, yeah, and then even though like the Jedi are like pretty much super established at this point, like they are like hand in hand with the Republic, right? Yeah, even they're pretty skeptical about that.
Yeah,
but the Sith have been extinct for over a millennium. But the Dark Jedi were exiled centuries ago.
Yeah, and then we get a little cut back to Korriban. The two angry boys kind of call a truce for now, but then over the planet...
Yeah, while this has all been going on, this fight and this whole drama, the twins have been crash landing into the planet, or trying to avoid that. And then they just pretty much at the end of the little escapade or little fight, they just totally buzz by in their spaceship. And they're like, oh, people, hey, let's go down and introduce ourselves and establish trade. Let's not do any research at all on this planet before introducing ourselves to the natives.
Yeah.
What an idea.
Well, and it's funny because they literally walk out. They're in their super fancy robes. They have flowing capes, and they're like, "Hey,
he's carrying a scepter for some reason."
Yeah, we come in peace. We want to set up trade relationships, and then they immediately just get taken prisoner.
Right. It looks like the chick is she has a codex or something
it's like a scroll in a book.
Yeah. Let's work out some terms.
Yeah, let's sign on the dotted line, and we'll send you a bunch of bantha steak.
Yeah, and of course, immediately captured. Yeah,
which I like. I like that they just get captured. They don't get to deal with anyone. And then, again, Nagasato and Ludo Kresh disagree on what to do. Ludo Kresh wants to just kill him right away because he thinks that they are going to be precursors for an invasion. And Nagasato's like, no, we're going to interrogate him because we're the Sith. And there might be new worlds for us to conquer.
Yep. And, of course, it's all right there in the nav computer.
Yeah, unfortunately, they can backtrack them. So, issue 2, I think, is probably, before we even get to the end, it's probably my favorite issue out of the comic.
Oh, yeah, what an introduction. Super solid issue. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a really, really high point. And, it's not like it doesn't get bad or anything. It's just,
The ancient Sith might be my favorite flavor of Sith.
Sure, yeah, they're... and again, just like everything in these comics, they're similar to what we have later, but they're different. And it's just like you said, they are a different, flavor of Sith, essentially.
Oh, yeah. And we'll see their power level as well. The power.
Power of the dark side. But yeah, episode, I keep saying episode.
Episode 3.
Episode 3.
Revenge of the Sith.
Yes. So this one is, again, very interesting because we get a bit more information on how, the Sith Empire works. So they bring the prisoners to Zyos, which is, the capital, and it's kind of a neutral planet where, you can't, fight among each other.
You never know where you stand with a neutral. Darn neutrals.
Yeah,
enemies know where you stand, but with neutrals, who knows?
I have no strong feelings one way or the other.
Tell my wife hello.
Yeah.
But I love the opening panel here. Get this really cool Sithy, drippy looking castle thing here, but yeah, it's a kind of pyramidish shaped castle. Really great.
Yeah, all looks really cool, and essentially,
you got gargoyles. You have actual flying gargoyles, and then gargoyles on the castle. Yeah,
and essentially, this issue really is just a back and forth of the two sides of the Sith, Nagasato and Ludo Kresh, each doing what they kind of going over what they want to do, and we have obviously the Darragon siblings, they're together in their icy cell.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually they get... essentially, they get broken out by Nagasato to kind of, like... It's essentially his plan is to use them to, like, justify an invasion of the Republic.
Right, yeah, he pretty much, he sets up, like, pretty much a false flag for invading the Republic, and works like a charm. But, well, I do like the little Sith conclave meeting that they have. Very cool, very tribal.
Oh, yeah, I really like, obviously Nagasato, he's, kind of a dickhead, so he just, like, storms in. I have an emergency. Oh, my guards were murdered, and by these weapons, I've never seen them before. It was the Republic. Let's go fucking kill them. They killed Simus, who was, like, he's like a presidential head, basically.
Right, yeah. The Sith who he just, like, keeps himself alive with his dark side power, even though he's just a head.
Yeah, he's pickle.
But yeah, Nagasato totally, like, pulls it off. Like, he's just, like, super conniving, and just, like, he totally commits to it. He's almost like, he is definitely, like, the precursor to Darth Bane, I would say. What's the word I'm looking for here? He's very much in the vein of, like, the way Darth Bane was, like, a go-getting maverick,
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, essentially, Nagasato also just says, alright, we gotta have a leader, and I'm the coolest, so I should be the leader. And everybody joins him, except for Ludocresh. He breaks his cool sword, and he's like, you're a dick, I'm leaving, fuck you.
I'm gonna go build my own Sith Empire, with hookers.
And blackjack.
You know what, forget the Sith Empire.
And forget the blackjack.
Screw the whole thing.
Yeah.
But,
And then on issue 4, this is where essentially we just get some more background to, again, just some more stuff on the Sith Empire. When Nagasato becomes the Dark Lord, he gets, like, a scorpion dropped on his forehead, and that burns the mark of the Dark Lord of the Sith onto his forehead, so that's pretty metal.
Yeah, it's that, like, sun with, like, the flares going out of it, which seems very appropriate for Nagasato.
Yeah.
And then, and then we get,
Well, essentially we go back to Empress Teta system.
Actually, no, this is Coruscant.
Oh, no, it is Coruscant, yeah.
Because, Empress Teta is taking Odan to the Senate to plead their case and be like, yo, bad moon
guys
on the horizon.
Yeah. But yeah.
Bad moon rising. And ancient Coruscant, looks super cool, dude.
Yeah, it looks kind of like a Roman, like, city. It looks kind of like ancient Rome, like everything's kind of like marble.
A little Egyptian too, because he got some pyramids in there.
Yeah, well, it looked like a cool ancient take on, like, everything that we know. Obviously, taking some like inspirations from real history.
Yeah, there's one ship that almost looks like a Viking boat that has oars sticking out of it.
Yeah, there was one of those in the first issue. Yeah, so they're very interesting, and we get basically the same thing that happens anytime a Jedi says that the dark side is back. He's like, "Oh, we gotta handle this," and then everyone in the Senate's like, "Nah, bro, we gotta take care of our own stuff." Because what? Just because your Jedi had a bad dream? Nah, you guys
why are we
suck.
gonna worry about a dream when there's real issues?
Yeah,
like war.
But not with the bad guys.
And
yeah. Then we go back to the Darragons. They are
the hidden fortress of
Nagasato.
Yes.
On the dark side of the moon.
And he's keeping them separate. He's teaching. What's the dude's name?
Gav.
Okay, Gav. He's teaching Gav dark side stuff, and then the Dairy, he's just Da-da-da. He's not doing much there.
No. But yeah, he's teaching Gav a little bit, and Jory is essentially like an actual prisoner. And yeah, he essentially explains to them, like, well, to Jory, like, their evil plan. And he's like, hey, I'm gonna let you guys out, essentially. Again. And then they escape.
And for some reason, Nagasato wants to... Well, he does like a raid on Ludo Kresh, and then he leaves evidence that he did it.
Yeah.
Which I think was to goad Ludo into like making a move or something.
Yeah, he's essentially like trying to draw him out of hiding.
Oh yeah. That's right. You've activated my trap card.
Yeah, and essentially, at the end of the issue, Ludo Kresh does end up going into attack, and that's how it ends. How will it turn out?
Oh, yes. Also, the Sith ships look really cool.
Yes, yeah,
especially Ludo Kresh's flagship.
Yeah,
it looks very. It's almost kind of looks squid-like, but then it's got this like armor on the side that looks almost very ornate.
Well, I mean, he's got to have the drip if he wants to be the Dark Lord.
Almost, I don't know, like steampunk wings, but yep. So Ludo gets super mad, and he's like, "I'm going to kill you, Naga," and he attacks the fortress. But it was a fake.
It was all according to Nagasato's plan. He is just, man, he's a schemer. Yeah, and then during this hecticness, Jory Daragon, she escapes on her ship, and then we get some cool space battles between the two Sith factions.
Yeah, so Naga had this whole fleet hiding in the shadow of a moon, just waiting. Really cool.
Yeah.
And they have these little ships that look like nautiloids, which is really nice. I like those.
Yeah, they're like kind of like the starfighters of everything. Yeah, we get that cool battle. And yeah, that's pretty much the issue. It's just a lot of really cool artwork of this battle between the ships. And we get some more of Gav. You know, he's sad because he's all alone. Jory escaped without him.
Yeah, well, yeah, and then Naga pulls a sneaky one. He's like, he plays up the fact that his fake fortress is getting destroyed to Jory, and he's like, "Run, get out of here, just make it out alive." Like he actually cares.
Oh yeah, like yeah.
And then she leaves, and then classic move. He stuck a tracker on the ship, and the tracker looks like a little frog with a jewel on it.
Yeah, little frog tracker. And yeah, essentially he's going to use that to reverse invade, or I guess not reverse invade, but to invade the Republic and get some conquest in, because he is evil, in case that hasn't been obvious enough. And we ended up, Jory Daragon is like, on the last panel, she's kind of giving herself like a little pep talk. Oh, I'll go back for my brother when I can find help, and oh, it's going to be so good to go home. Nothing bad could happen.
Yeah, she seems to completely forget that she had... she seems to completely forget that she had, they had like, had to steal the ship from their planet before.
Yeah, but now there's bigger fish to fry.
True, yeah. She's just like, gotta warn them about the Sith.
Yeah, which is gonna blow Oda and Er's mind. I told you guys. Dark side, still there, brah. Yeah, and that ends the first storyline of the Tales of the Jedi. So, yeah, it's really great. It gives us a lot of insight that would be expanded on later in the EU. Does a really good job of setting it up. The storytelling is super easy. Like, literally, if you went into this only watching, like, the first 6 Star Wars movies, like, you would get everything. Which I think works really well in its favor.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and, do you have any other closing comments about how cool this series is?
Well, I mean, definitely, if you haven't, like, read it, definitely check it out. Super worth it. Also, I don't know, I would just really love like an adaptation of this time period, just to see what it would look like in live action, you know, just to see how that old antiquated look would translate. I think it would look really cool.
Yeah, probably. But the world will probably never know.
The world may never know.
But yeah. We definitely have some plans to finish out the series, and so be on the lookout for the next video about the fall of the Sith Empire. And until we have that video out, make sure to like the video and subscribe. It helps our channel grow. And until you hear us next time, this has been Cade from the Lore Council, signing off.
This is Keith. We will see y'all later.